Is there anybody here who does not have a habit? Today we close our series in terms of habits. I don't think habits will ever finish. It will never come to an end. But for this series, we're going to close it today in our part 3 of this series. As I've said to you in the last 2 weeks, that we all have similar habits. Every one of us have similar habits. But we all have different results and how those habits come out. Not one of us plan to live from salary to salary. Anybody like that, yeah? Maybe some of you. You don't want to live from salary to salary and worry about money all the time. None of us want to do that. That's not the habit we want to be in. But unfortunately, life happens and sometimes we do. None of us plan to put on 10 kgs every year. Some of us maybe do. We don't want to put on weight so that we can be unhealthy when we are old one day. None of us plan to become addicts, addicted to something, addicted to our phones without realizing we become addicted, to our TVs, to our whatever, shopping, gymming, being healthy. We can become addicted to so many things out there. And it's so easy for that to happen without you even realizing. But none of us want to live a passionless life. Not one of us want to live that sort of life. I want to remind you again that none of us ruin our life by one small bad decision. That intro that you see, and you see all the small dominoes running, those are all the bad decisions in your life. Every single decision you've made comes to those big ones, those big moments that we see where this big piece of dominoes go down. You see, the majority do a whole bunch of bad decisions all the time. Majority of us make bad decisions, and over time it affects us badly. And we can't understand, how did it happen? How did we get to this place? How do we get to this place that we don't realize all these bad decisions we've made? And all we have to do is sit down for a moment and just think back. What did I do to get here? What did I do? And most of us turn to God and we blame Him and we're angry with Him because of a whole bunch of things that happen in our lives, but we don't search within ourselves. You see, most people summarize a life of bad decisions in one sentence. I'm sure you've heard this before. You'll hear people say, he battled the weight and died with a heart attack at the age of 45. But they don't say how it all happened. They don't say how it all transpired. Just one sentence. They'll say she fell into sin and cheated on her husband, and it led to divorce. Just a small sentence, one sentence, and it led to divorce. You see, we place a lifetime of bad decisions and place them in one short sentence. And we see many of that all over the Bible. So have your Bibles here with you. If you can turn to the book of Judges. To the book of Judges, and we're going to read from chapter 16. And we're going to read from verse 1. And if you are one of the sinners that left your Bible at home, we've put it on the screen for you. Okay. So on the screen, you can read it on the screen. It's there. Some joke, you're not really a sinner for leaving your Bible at home. But it's a weapon. We want to walk around with our weapons. We want to keep our weapons with us. It's good to have your Bible with you. Even if it's on your phone, on your iPad, have that weapon of yours with you. Judges 16 verse 1. An interesting sentence. This is one of the sentences where it's a summary of his whole life. One day, Samson went to Gaza. Just that one sentence, there's a lot happening there. One day, Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute. And then it carries on that he went and spent time with her, the night with her. But one day, Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute. You see, this one sentence summarizes a bunch of bad decisions for Samson. Now, you must understand a bit of background in terms of what's happening here. Samson, he was going to Gaza. Now, Gaza is in Philistine. It's the Philistine headquarters. Now, Samson was public enemy number 1. Yet he's going to Gaza. Gaza is like the enemy territory. So it's like for you and me to walk into a place where, you know, the people want you dead here. You're going to go in this place, they want to kill you, you're going there. This is where Samson went to. He went into Gaza, the Philistine headquarters, he went in there. Now, from his hometown to Gaza, his hometown was Zorah. And from Zorah to to Gaza was 40 kilometers. So one day Samson went to Gaza. Just one day. Any of you lately walked 40 kilometers somewhere? Just taking a walk for 40 kilometers. So going to Gaza, he was putting himself at risk. He was putting himself at risk just to go to Gaza. And so we know for a fact there was no taxis in those days, no Ubers. They had they called it the camel buses or whatever they called them those days. But so we assume that Samson walked 40 kilometers just for a prostitute. He walked 40 kilometers to go and spend the night with a prostitute. Let me ask you this. How many of you would walk 40 kilometers into a place that can kill you just to get a chick? Any men out there? Would you walk that? Who would do this? Who would do this? Let me give you the answer. Lots of you do it every single day without even knowing that you're doing it. We're doing this every single day. Let me bring this closer to home. 40 kilometers equals to an average of 56,250 steps. Not Rory steps, like Cami steps. She's a bit shorter. 56,250 steps he walked. Let me say this, that Samson did not mess his life up all at one chance. Yet it took him 56,250 steps into a direction that would begin a life falling apart for him. That's what it meant for him. 56,250 steps into a direction that would begin a life falling apart. And yet we do that every single day. You see, most of us don't mess our lives up all at once. It happens over a period of time. Let me remind you that we started this series with the who before the do. The who before the do. We said before we talk about the habits that we want to do, let us first look at who do we want to become? Who do you want to become? Who do you want people to know you as? What do you want people to say about you? Who does God want you to be? A godly father, a godly wife, a great example to your friends, a great example to family, a healthy person, financially free, financially generous. Who do you want to be? Is a question. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be known as if you go tomorrow? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Just another person that died today? It's another person that added a little bit to society. Who do you want to be remembered as? And then last week we looked at, based on who do you want to become, what one habit do you need to start? What one habit do you need to start to become that person who you want to be? And so I trust you've started that process to see what habit do you need to start to become that person who God wants you to be. And today, we're going to look at based on who you want to become, what one bad habit do you need to break? What is that habit? So just for a second there, just close your eyes. Just close your eyes for a second. Just close every eye. And I want you just to think about your habits. Just think about the habits that's bad. What bad habits? And many of you will have a few. They're like tick, 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 tick in your head right now. Some of you are closer to Jesus, might have one or two. But we all have bad habits. Bad habits are not necessarily sin. They're just bad. And they can lead to sin. So just think of those ones. Just list them for yourself in your head. Choose maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of you got many. And ask yourself this question as you open your eyes slowly. I don't want you all to fall asleep right now. Ask yourself this question. What habit is unhealthy? Which one is unhealthy? Which one is unhelpful? Which one is ungodly? That's taking me along a path of destruction. That's the question you've got to ask yourself. Which one is unhealthy? Which one is unhelpful? Which one is ungodly? And which one is going to take me along this path of destruction? That you know without a doubt, this is bad what I'm doing. This is not good. The outcome is not going to be great. I know it. But yet I'm taking this route. I'm going to do it. I'm hoping it's going to be different, but I've got a suspicion it's not going to turn out that great. That's the one. Which habit do you need to break? James 1, verse 21 says this to us. So get rid of every filthy habit. Whoa, it's in the Bible. Get rid of every filthy habit and all wicked conduct. Submit to God and accept the word that He plants in your hearts, which is able to save you. His word is able to save you. Get rid of those bad habits. Get rid of them. Filthy habits. You know what I always say to people? If I had to ask you right now, I put a frame up against that wall. And what's in your mind right now, can I put it on that wall for everybody to see? And not many of us want to do that. I don't think any of us want to do that. Because our thoughts are evil sometimes. They're just bad. I always think, whenever I think about that, I think to myself, yeah, I can hide myself from people, but I can't hide myself from God. Because He knows my thoughts even before I've thought it. And so whatever is bad, whatever is unhealthy, get rid of it. Those wicked things, get rid of it. Get behind me, Satan. Just get behind me. I don't want to have that thought. I don't want to have that habit. Or any wicked conduct. I don't want to. Only God is able to save me. Only He can save you. So which one habit do you need to get rid of? Which one? To become who God wants you to be. Which one is it? Only you will know. You'll know what it is. And this is all what we're talking about today. How do we break that bad habit? How do you break it? Last week I spoke about, I said to you, how do we start a good habit? How do we start it? But today we want to talk about how do we break this habit? So again, I'll ask you, which is the one bad habit that you need to break? And keep that habit in your mind right now. Maybe you can order it from 1 to 3. 1, 2, this is 1, that's 2, that's 3. From bad to worse. Just order them like that. You see, the first thing you need to do is you need to acknowledge it and define it. Which one it is. That's why I'm harping on this, that you need to know which one it is. You need to acknowledge it for yourself and say, this is bad for me, I know, and I need to define which one it is. Because there can be a few, but you need to know this is a bad one. Some of this is a bad thing. This could be a very bad thing. Very, very bad thing. But it's a good thing too. You can't defeat what you cannot define. You cannot defeat what you cannot define. That's why we need to acknowledge it and define it. Then we can defeat what we've defined. You might have 20 bad habits, but the most important one you need to choose this morning, which is the bad one. Maybe it's a bad attitude. Maybe it's a critical spirit. You see, everything is negative in life. Maybe you're a complaining person. You complain about everything. Maybe you love gossiping. I mean, we were at a meeting a few months ago doing a wedding seminar. And one woman, and I said, you know what, the worst thing is that the worst place that we can gossip is husband and wife in bed at night. The wife speaks to the husband and says, hey, you know, that person irritated me. And she's actually gossiping about somebody else. And this woman got excited. And she said, no, but what am I going to talk to my husband about then? I've got nothing else to talk to him about. All she wants to talk about is gossiping. And I said, and we had to help her along to say, no, you can't. Gossiping is bad. You're messing your poor husband up. Maybe it's an eating issue. You eat all you see. You love food. You love seafood. You see food and you eat it. It's a bad habit. I love my food, unfortunately, I do. It's a habit I need to break. Maybe it's your phone, like I said just now. Maybe you need to Put the phone away. Don't take the phone to your bedroom. Take the phone, leave it. Visitors come, leave the phone away. Maybe it's a TV. That series on Netflix or Disney or how many channels ever there are. F1. I love F1. That's a habit of mine. I'm bad every second week. Very bad. As long as back, I mean to go there. Just stay away from there. Maybe it's sweets. Maybe it's chocolates. Maybe it's chocolate cake. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's that, whatever. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's friends. Maybe it's work. You know what it is, what that bad habit is. But I want you to listen to this advice very carefully this morning. Listen very carefully. If more than one person maybe suggest that you have a problem with something, if more than one person maybe suggests that you have a problem with something, guess what? You have a problem with something. See, people will notice, people will say things, and you've just got to listen to what people are saying to you. The one habit my wife and I have decided to break is our phones, screen time. So we on every phone you can set the amount of time you spend on your phone. So you can set you won't spend more than an hour on your phone, and at the hour the phone shuts down. You cannot access any apps on this phone. So we are challenged by that because we get spoken to most of the time on our phones. But when you get on a phone and you get a message, and then you go look at this, you get a YouTube, then you get a Facebook message, you get that, and you get all over the place, and then you get distracted completely. Next minute, an hour later, you've been on the phone. You don't realize it. The other day, we were on the phone for nearly 3.5 hours, just WhatsApp messages for 3.5 hours. You don't realize how you waste time. And so we set some limits in place for ourselves so that we can stop wasting time on our phones. And I know that's a way of communication today. Oh, I love the days of pagers. Remember the days of pagers? Or the day when they phoned your secretary and they left a message in. You can phone them back one day. Now you'll sit in a toilet and your phone rings and they expect you to answer it. And I get annoyed when people phone me when I'm on the toilet because you don't want to answer that phone. That's the worst. So leave your phone out of the toilet. You don't have to answer it. And so I've gotten my answer to that. So I leave my phone in my office. So based on who you want to become, what habit do you need to break? I want you to keep that here. Keep it right to the forefront of what we're talking about this morning. But I want you to understand why it's difficult to break this habit. Have you noticed the following? It's difficult to start a good habit. And a bad habit is difficult to break. It's difficult to start a good habit, but a bad habit is also difficult to break. Here's the difference between the two. A good habit is challenging in the beginning. A good habit is challenging in the beginning, and the result is somewhere in the future of a good habit. But a bad habit is completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. Let me give you an example. You decide to get healthy. You decide to get healthy, and you start jogging. You set your alarm for 5 a.m. every morning. You get out of bed half asleep. It's cold outside. It's tired and it's hard, but you get up. But you push yourself through for 7 months. You're running every morning, walking, running every morning. And after the 7 months, you see you've lost 10 kgs. And wow, this worked. This is awesome. Maybe you start serving in the church. It's hard to get up, to go to every single meeting in the church, but you push through. Months later, you feel like you're so much closer to God. You feel at peace. You've got great friends around you. You're doing life together, and you're using your gifts in the church. And it feels good. But bad habits, somehow there is a perceived benefit immediately. Immediate perceived benefit that you receive. Sin can be fun. Who agrees? Come on, don't be sinners this morning. Who agrees sin can be fun? Sin can be fun. Of course sin can be fun. That's why sin is good. According to Satan, it's good. He wants us to enjoy it. And he'll try and make it look like fun. Be a man, have a Heineken. Be a man, have a Camel. Come on, drink a Captain Morgan. You'll be the captain of your ship. Come on. Does that make me a man? You see, false advertising out there is all over the place to make you a better person. Be the woman you want to be. Use Avon or use whatever. I don't even know all the products. Justine or whatever. Let's not fall for the worldly things. Bad habits. You want to smoke a smoke. It relieves stress immediately. Smokers, I was an ex-smoker, I know. It relieves your stress levels. You relax. But the cost is years later. When you find out maybe you got lung cancer. Years later. And you say to yourself, why did I never stop? Then there are those restaurants that offer this, eat as much as you want. All this nice buffet food, seafood, every crayfish, prawns, everything to your heart's desire. Just eat. This nice puddings. That's where my wife always goes. It's straight for the puddings first. Eats the puddings. It's so lekker. It's so nice. But years later, you find out you're diabetic. And think, oh, why did I not stop eating? How do you break that bad habit? How do you break this bad habit? Make it difficult to do. Remember last week it says to start a good habit, make it easy to do. But how do you break a bad habit? Make it difficult to do. You see, you and I only have so much willpower. So much. Maybe a little bit less. We have so much willpower. Our willpower is not very strong. Unfortunately, my biggest downfall is chocolates. I love chocolates. I do. I really do. I love it. But when I decide I'm going to stop eating chocolates, if at first you offer, I will say no. But if you hang around the second time and you ask me, I will just ignore you. But if you ask me a third time, I will smell it. But if you ask me a fourth time, I'll have one line. But if you ask me a fifth time, I'll finish the slab for you. My willpower is not strong with chocolate. Many of us are like that. And so we get tempted in all these different ways. How strong is your willpower? How strong are you? You see, you and I need to make it difficult. We need to find ways to make it difficult for our willpower to get better of us. That's what we need to do. Proverbs 4 verse 14 and 15 says this. Do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of the evildoers. Avoid it. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go on your way. Run away from it. Get away from it. That you know is bad for you. We need to run away from this. Remember last week we spoke of the habit loop. Can you remember the habit loop? We should have it on the screen here. That loop there, Josh. And this spoke about the trigger, the action, and the reward. So you have a trigger. Remember you walk and you see something. You see the fridge. You open the fridge. You see the chocolate in there. You see the nice reward, and then you have the sugar rush after it. That's your whole loop. So what do we need to do? We need to do two things we need to remove. We need to remove the next slide, the trigger, and we need to remove the action. You need to remove the trigger. What's going to trigger you? Take it out of the way. Take the action away. Those are the two things that we need to take out of the equation. But here's the catch, folk. We have 5 major triggers. 5. And these are the 5 that you need to work on. These are the 5 you need to pay attention to. The 5 triggers are place, time, mood, moment, and people. Those are the 5 triggers. Those are your 5 triggers. Let's look at place. The trigger, the place, is a place where you normally or consistently will do bad habits. That place. Where is that place? Where is that place? You need to figure out yourself, where is that place? And there are places where you won't do the bad habit. Many people won't do bad habits in church because it's a holy place. You know that? They won't do it here. But there's a place they go to that they do bad habits. For example, you will not go to gym and eat food in the gym. Who's going to go eat a hamburger in the gym? Or take a pizza in the gym and eat it while they're exercising? Nobody's going to do that. You're not going to smoke that happy stuff when you come to church. Maybe some of you do. Or some of you need to. But you'll smoke it at a party. You're going to have a joint at the party. But nobody's going to sit there and smoke a joint in the church. Time. Let's look at time. You won't use your time at the meeting that you've called to do something else. It's your meeting. You've called this meeting. You're not going to use that to do something else because it's your time. You're using it. And if somebody dishonors you, you'll get angry. Or many people won't use their time at a meeting to even sit and watch porn maybe. Normally they'll do that late at night when they're bored and alone. Bored and alone. They'll get up to mischief. A perfect example of time and place is David. Remember David? His timing was bad, and the place he was at was bad. Until he saw Bathsheba. Mood, let's look at mood. It's more applicable to women, I think. No, joking. You and I are more vulnerable when we are in a certain mood. When we are in certain moods, we have moods. We need to learn about HALT. H-A-L-T. Yes, H-A-L-T. This is what H-A-L-T stands for. We are vulnerable when we are hungry. Have you ever met, my kids, I always say, you're hangry, Dad. You're hangry. The second one is you are hungry. First one, next one is angry. You're angry. Your mood of anger. Then the L stands for lonely. And then the T stands for tired. We fall. We get into these triggers and catch us out when we are hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And then moment. Moments. You do the same thing every single time you do something. Smokers. Speaking on you today. Nice meal. What do you do after the meal? You've got to have a smoke. That's just a habit that we have. Wives, after they fight with their husbands, they call their friends and they have a husband bashing party together on the phone. At a braai with the guys, they must all have drinks in their hands to look cool around the braai. Moments, habits, people. People, the last one. People, the wrong people in our lives are triggers and lead us into the wrong directions. The wrong people in our lives are triggers and they lead us into the wrong directions. These studies conclude that the closer you are to someone, the more likely you are to have the same habits as them. So if you show me your 5 friends around you, I'll be able to see your habits from your friends. Proverbs 13 verse 20 says this, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Walk with the wise. Find wise people to hang with. You see, the people we hang with will shape the habits that we have. We'll pick up their habits. So you need to ask yourself, is your friend's habits good for you? That's what you need to ask yourself this morning. Are they godly? My phone's talking to me. This thing's gone crazy. Are they going to church? Are they wise for advice or good to go to for advice? Are they righteous? Are they righteous people? Are they upright? Are they respected in the community? Are they respected amongst your family? And are they good for you? Are they good for you? How difficult would it be if your friends were unemployed, druggies, alcoholics, unrighteous, worldly people, or gamblers or party animals? How good would it be for you? Let's look at image number 1. You can put image number 1 up there. It says this. It's almost impossible to live the right life with the wrong friends. It's almost impossible to live the right life with the wrong friends. How's your friends? How is your friends? 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. It's all over the Bible, these things, folk. Look for the triggers. Remove the trigger. And interrupt the action. What is a trigger that sets you off into that bad habit? What action does it cause you to do? So if you got a lost friend that is not saved, and he loves his booze, and every time you get to him, he passes you a beer, you have a beer, and you have another one, next minute, you know you've had too many. Is he good for you or is he bad for you? You see, if he influences you to do the bad things, it's not good for you. And so those are the things we need to look out for. Those are the signs, and those are one of the habits you need to break. When I changed my life, I had to make decisions. I had a lot of bad friends. And I had to literally turn my back on my friends. Say, sorry, this is the route I'm going. This is the path I'm following. You're most welcome to walk with me. But I'm breaking myself from this life. I'm breaking myself away from doing these things. And sometimes I need to see the stance, and they'll pull the Mickey out of you and say, you holy cannoli, or whatever. They'll bully you with these things. But you know what? One day they'll come. I've had many friends who've come along, and they've apologized, and they've changed their lives. And they've served Jesus in an amazing, amazing way. Look for the triggers, remove the trigger, and interrupt the action. How will this work, folk? How will this work? How can this practically work? Set your alarm bell in the mornings for 4 o'clock. All of you that wake up at 4 o'clock in the mornings. How many of you wake up at 4 in the morning? It's a few people. How many of you lay in after 4 o'clock still? The alarm goes off and you snooze it down. Well, let me give you a solution to that problem. Please put your phone in the room next door and let the alarm go off. It will force you to get up. It will force you to get up, get out of bed, and walk. But maybe put it in the lounge very far from your room. So you have to walk very far to get it, but you can hear that alarm going off. If you're overspending on Take-A-Lot and 60 seconds or wherever, find boundaries for yourself, protection for yourself. Maybe give your password to your husband or to a friend. And when you've got a temptation to buy, there is something that can block you. There's something that can stop you. If there's any of our men that are struggling with inappropriate images on your phone, even women struggle with that too. Bad images on your phone, get yourself an app that blocks those bad things from getting on your phone. Simple. We need to find ways to protect ourselves. So you've got to find ways to block yourself. I've put it on my phone, and I've put it on here specifically for a reason. Because you can press any button on here, and you can get to any site to see anything on here. People send you stuff, you don't realize what they're sending you. So the minute anything comes on here, it blocks it on my phone. And so find ways to block yourself and help yourself. Resist temptation. We need to resist it. We need to run away from it, you and me. The Bible says it very clearly. So why resist temptation tomorrow if you have the power to eliminate it today? Why resist it tomorrow? Why face it tomorrow if you have the power to stop it right now in its tracks? By putting something on to help you. Image number 2 says this. The habits you have today will shape who you will become tomorrow. So which habit do you need to break? Which one do you need to break and get rid of? Let me ask this. Do you like the direction your habits are taking you into? Do you like where you're going to, the path that you're on? Do you believe it's the right path? So if you're in doubt, start thinking what this is going to look like in 5 to 10 years' time. This path that you're on right now. Just think for yourself. This path, this habit you've created and you formed, what is it going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? Could there be regrets in your life? Could you be thinking, I wish I'd spend more time with my kids as a parent? But could you be thinking, if only I had forgiven that person a long, long time ago, we could have been friends for years. But I couldn't forgive them. Because of my habit of just being angry with them. Not wanting to break it. Or maybe you could think, I wish I never started doing this thing. I had no idea it would ruin my life or turn out this way. Addictions, alcohol, shopping, gym, being unhealthy, gaming, gambling, working, friendships. There's so many things that can become addictions to us in our lives. That we need to say, is this an addiction? Is this something I need to break? Shopping, ladies, can be an addiction. You might not know it, but it can be. So we're going to see, where do I spend most of my time with, and where's a bad place for me to be? Remove the trigger and interrupt the action. Remove it. Maybe you're saying, I feel so weak. I can't do this. How am I going to do this? But remember this, when I'm weak, He's strong. When I'm weak, He's strong for me. Christ in me is stronger than any wrong desires in me. He is strong. As long as we rely upon him. Remember the Samson, 56,250 steps into the wrong direction. Into the wrong direction. But it was also 56,250 opportunities to stop and turn around. 56,250 steps to stop and turn around. And you and I make that mistake every single day. Every single day. Who do you want to become? Who do you want to become? Who do you want to become? Start a good habit. Break a bad habit. Break it. Never underestimate how God can start something special through you. Never underestimate it. Zechariah 4 verse 10. Do not despise these small beginnings. For the Lord rejoices to see the work that's begun. He rejoices in that. Don't despise small decisions you make right now of breaking certain habits. Because the Lord sees what you're doing. And He'll bless you in that and walk through it with you. Evidence starts to build up. And we can see who you really are. Break those bad habits. Form good habits. Break them. What's your identity? Let me remind you as I close this morning. You and I have purpose. Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans I have for you, not to harm you, but to prosper you. Yeah, we have purpose. You and I have purpose. You are loved. You are so loved. Romans 5 verse 8. You are chosen by God. You are chosen. That's who you are. You are redeemed. Ephesians 1 verse 7. You are redeemed by Him. You are favored. Psalm 5 verse 12. You are favored by Him. You're the apple. You are blessed. Psalm 146 verse 5. You are so blessed. And you are healed. You've been justified. You've been purified. You've been set free because of His Son, Jesus Christ. And all He's saying to you this morning is break that. That's not good for you. Break that you know is on the wrong path. That's taking you on this wrong path. Get rid of that you know is going to take you on a path of destruction. So